Hello there, it's Nancy here. Let's try this. This is number 3. This is third time's a charm, right? So I tried to come on a minute ago and then it said the broadcast failed, so that had to go bye-bye. And then the second time I had to rotate the phone, even though I didn't need to rotate the phone. So I think this time it's going to work. So let me try to bring Tina on right now. Tag friend, no. Tina, bring them on. Okay, I'm going to bring her on. Here we go. I think this. So here she comes on. So if you've tuned into our Love Talks before, we talk about all things regarding love. And we've brought people on. We've had, hi, Tina,
There
it
we
worked
go.
that time. Hello,
Oh,
I see
yay.
you.
Hey, how are
Oh, I'm
you?
so bright. I'm good. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we learned to roll with it, right?
Exactly. That was really weird. It said broadcast
Yeah,
interrupted. In any case,
yeah, yeah.
we're still
So
learning
here we
about this.
are. We're still learning, and even though we're doing it how we know to do it, it still doesn't necessarily go as planned, right? Just like life, just like
Exactly.
love. Just going. Hi, Ange.
Exactly.
Good to see you. How's your vacation going? She's in France. Are you
Who
eating
is that?
croissants?
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
it's Inge Winterberg. Yes.
Oh,
So, Inge,
wonderful,
we're here
wonderful.
today. Yes, I know. She says, hello, beautiful ladies. Hello, lovely,
Hey.
elegant, gorgeous woman, you.
She totally is.
So, you know, if you've tuned in before, like I know Inge has before, we've talked about all things love. Like we said, we had a week with men that was really awesome. And,
Yes.
we heard so many great points from them. We talked about healing and the different processes.
Chief themes, as you said, through our whole series on breakups was following your body's wisdom. And this is a great take on how you can use your body's wisdom to actually protect you. In a way, of course, if you're listening to your body's wisdom when you're going through some bad times in your relationship, right, and looking for signs, that'll protect you as well. That'll protect you in the sense of either working on it or stepping away from that relationship. But this is a lot more dramatic, and it points to, particularly for women, how we are so attuned to either, because we've been told, first of all, we've been kind of indoctrinated that we need to be nice. We had to nurture everybody else, and uh, and sometimes we're labeled as being too emotional,
Mhm.
right? By men or by others. So therefore, our body's intuition is continually being pushed down, if you will. So when on Oprah, on this particular, she had a gentleman on who is, I believe, a
Investigator.
specialist.
Hmm.
Yeah, an investigator. And what they found is that he actually had been on her show giving some advice to women, to the viewers, about how to follow your body's intuition and how, if you're in a dangerous situation, to first and foremost listen to your body, right? And in one particular instance, in a couple of instances, women who had listened to this show, integrated the
Hmm.
suggestions, and they credit it for, they still went through a difficult situation. They were attacked, but they were able to get out of the situation and save their lives.
Hmm.
Basically, it saved their lives. And the first bit of advice, right, Nancy, was this thing about listening to your body's intuition.
Hmm.
So if you're in a situation where a total stranger, a man, for example, comes up to you, and you feel the hairs go up on the back of your neck, right? You feel like the energy is really off, but because you're nice, you continue engaging with that person, then it can lead to a really bad situation. So in one particular case, because there's nothing better than a life example, right? And in one particular case, a lady, for example, was going back to her house with her 3 children, and a man, what, no, I prefer the one act, well, all of them were good examples, but
Yeah.
the lady who was coming home with her groceries,
Yes.
right? So the door to the apartment building was already open. She thought maybe it was just, instead of thinking, oh, maybe there could be something wrong here, she just,
Yeah.
fluffed it off
And
like
she
it
had
could
a
be.
load of groceries and she didn't want to like, lug them out of there. So she didn't listen to herself in that one instance. And then it led to
Exactly.
more. Go ahead.
Yes. So she was walking up the steps with her groceries, and I think a bag ripped open, and then the cat food. right? The can of cat food, rolled down the stairs, and she heard a voice, a man's voice behind her. She didn't see him, and he said, "Oh, I just picked this up, right? Can I help you?" And she said she didn't even see him, but the voice, just the voice alone, raised the hairs on the back of her neck. Then he came towards her, helped her, picked up the groceries, and insisted. He said, "Can I help you?" She said no, but he insisted on carrying the groceries up. So against her better instincts, she agreed because he seemed to be so helpful, right? She played down what her body was screaming at her, that this wasn't a good situation. Then it got worse at her apartment door. He was insisting that he help her in with the groceries, that he was just going to lay them down and then leave. And and sadly, as she said, that was her biggest mistake. She just, he seemed so nice and he had helped her. She almost felt like she owed him, right? To show her confidence because he extended that helping hand. Whereas for predators, that's what they do. They gain your confidence in some small way, and then they capitalize on that. So as soon as she said, okay, he came in, of course, slammed the door shut, and sadly, she was sexually assaulted. But what she did do is that as um, she knew she had to take matters into her own hands. So he got up to go get a drink of water or something. So he said, "Stay put." Now, we've always been conditioned in those types of assault situations, and at least I've heard, I don't know about you, Nan, state that
Hmm.
stay put, do whatever they say to try to
In the
save your life.
beginning.
Yeah, but that's not the case, right?
In the beginning, until you have an opening, you're supposed to comply, like be accommodating, and then as soon as you see a window, you get yourself out.
Right.
And
So,
yeah.
and she didn't comply anymore, right? So he
Hmm.
said, "Stay there." She
And she said,
snuck it. She
and she's
snuck out. She said
sorry.
that she would. She said that
Yes,
she
yes.
would,
Hmm. She said,
right?
"Yeah, I won't go anywhere. I'll stay."
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
And she got
That's
up right
great.
behind him. And then she
Yeah.
got up right behind him. Like as soon as he got up, she got up. Like literally, they said that he could have felt her breathing on the back of his neck because she got up right behind him. He turned towards the kitchen and she went straight out the door, and he started rifling around the door. She went out the door and went into a neighbor's house that she knew would be unlocked, went in there and locked the door. And he was looking for knives. He was looking for knives in that drawer because she's lucky because he's killed other people before. So
Yeah. Yeah. That
she
came
got
out
out
in
of the
the
situation.
investigation. Exactly.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, what we're taught is to comply with them, like, just placate them, do whatever they ask. But they say, do whatever they ask, placate them but never, never, ever, ever let them take you to the second location. And that is what a lot of these women remember from the Oprah Winfrey Show. And they remembered it really changed their lives because they remembered in those situations like, oh, shoot, I'm in the second situation. Or like, oh, shoot, I've got to fight because they're trying to take me to the second location. And it's literally saved their lives. Never, because what they're going to do is they're going to isolate you, and they're going to have nobody's going to be around, and they're going to be able to do whatever they want to do to you in that situation. So it's better at that point to fight, never let them take you anywhere. And that's what the investigator said, or the detective that was talking about it. It's like, do not ever. And these women are just talking about how, you know their palms got clammy right away. And there's been situations in my life too where I'm like, okay, I'll just let him help me in. Sure, no problem. But my stomach and my, my
Yes.
alarm bells are going off. And there was even a circumstance where I remember I did not feel comfortable. My stomach was dropping. I saw him walking and I just kept checking behind me to make sure he wasn't there. And I just took a different road because my alarm bells were going off. But still in my mind, I was recently like, oh, Nancy, maybe you just don't like the way he looks, or maybe you're just being judgmental, or maybe this or that. But no, I
Mm.
kept going in the other direction. I think I turned somewhere and kind of peeked out to make sure he was gone. No logical reason why to feel like that, but my instincts were telling me to like go away and get away from him as fast as possible. And they were also talking about like we're conditioned to be nice, like Tina was saying, and we don't owe anyone anything. We don't owe them to be nice. When our selves are telling us to do something, we need to really listen to it. So,
Exactly. Particularly when they're insisting, Like with
Yes.
this lady, he insisted on helping her, right? And it reminds me, if I could just share one small example from my own life, it didn't end up in a tragedy like this, but still, I was at a grocery store, and this gentleman came to talk to me a few times, and he's being super charming and stuff, but I felt icky. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I'm taking my groceries out to the car, and he's right beside me. He said
Oh
he grabbed the
God.
bags. He
Oh
grabbed
God,
the
no.
bags out of my arms, right? And he insisted on bringing them to the car, and it didn't feel right, but I just went along. I thought to myself, oh, he's being so gallant, right? He's being so nice. I should comply with this, right? And he did bring the bags out to the car. Luckily, it was in the middle of the day. Luckily, there was a lot of people around. But I mean, it could have been in the evening. It could have been an underground parking. It could have been whatever. And he tried to get my phone number at that point, but that wasn't going to happen. But I shouldn't have done that, right? I should have insisted on him stopping insisting
Hmm.
and just left it. We don't have to comply, right? We don't
Yeah.
have to comply. If that was another woman, we would never do something like that. Just automatically comply. We're conditioned. So this points to just being at a heightened level of awareness. If ever something like that should happen, where we're not feeling comfortable and someone is insisting, it's really important to stop it at that point and be in our truth and not go any further until this person is away from us,
Hmm.
right?
It's your own protection. And they were also talking about we are the only species. Animals aren't going to get
Yes.
themselves in this situation out in nature. They're just not. We're the only species that second guesses our intuition. So, an animal's not gonna be like, oh no, yeah, maybe it's just his fur. It's a different color than what I'm used to. No, no, they get themselves out. It's fight or flight, and that's when our, reptilian brain and our, animal instincts kick in and protect us. So Astrid's here. Hi, Astrid. I don't
Hey,
know if you
Astrid.
caught what we're watching or talking about. We're talking about how our body wisdom can save our life. And we had listened to an Oprah Winfrey podcast where she had said the most important, lesson she ever learned, was this: listening to your body's wisdom. And she was saying how she cringes when she sees women jogging with their headphones on at
Yes,
night when it's or dusk before the sun's up, or running at night when the sun's going down or it's down, because when you have your headphones on, that's, you're not as, body aware, and you're going to be taken by surprise. So it's just so important. We're taught to be nice so much. So we've got a couple people here. Sandy's here,
hey,
and she said,
Sandy.
Sandy says, always go with your gut feeling. Inge says, that's so interesting. We feel that the situation, still don't trust our feelings, right? Because we're
Yes,
taught to be nice. And yeah, we second guess ourselves. And that's why it's so important to just like really drop in and own and resonate and sit with and live from our body's instinct. And as women, we're so in our masculine mind all the time, going control, we can do everything, but our body's wisdom is so intuitive and it's so knowing, and we just need to act on those. And then
exactly.
Susie said, I've heard the story before. What was the book? Susie, it was actually Oprah Winfrey. She had him on, I think, years ago, and I've heard this before, but I forgot about it. And it's on her podcast, Super Soul Sundays or Super Soul Conversations. And I think she only put it up maybe about a month ago. And it's a really great tune in to listen to. And then Donnie says, I recently met a man. On our first conversation, I didn't like his energy. On our first date, when I left, I felt horrible. Okay, let me see more. I have to see more. Sorry, this is part of the Facebook thing. It only like serves. Okay, there it is. On our first date, when I left, I felt horrible, exhausted. I mentioned it to my male friend. He said, your spirit will tell you what your eyes can't see. And that is so true. Wow,
Says
what
everything.
a great
Yeah,
man friend. And then Sydney, hi Cindy. And then Astrid said, oh yes, our body's wisdom. So,
exactly. One other tip from the stories was that there was one lady, she was jogging in a really affluent area in the
mhm,
daytime. And she figured if she was being approached by somebody in the neighborhood, it was probably someone from the neighborhood. So therefore, she had a higher level of trust. But
Hmm.
before she knew it, she had passed by. He smiled at her. She smiled. She was being nice. She smiled back. Her defenses were down. He used that moment to grab her and pull her into like a Johnny on the spot, believe it or not. And as she was
Hmm.
being pulled in, it was a bit of an isolated area from the other residences. She realized I'm being pulled into the second location. The first
Hmm.
location is where he accosted her and took
Yep.
control of her physically. The second location was the Johnny in the spot. And she said, I'm going to die, right? If I don't do something now, I'm going to die. And she managed to, as he was holding her, she used her body weight to walk up the sides of the Johnny on the spot, threw him off balance, flipped back, so the door opened, and miraculously, she landed on her feet and was able to run away. And I don't think the guy was ever caught, right?
Mm-mm.
But
No.
she definitely would have been assaulted, right? His
Yeah.
intent was pretty obvious. So no matter what, fight. Even if you think he threatens to kill you, as they said on the show, um,
Let him do
you're
it.
probably going to die anyway,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
the chances of you dying or being at risk are so much higher in the second location. So if you're going to fight back, do it where you are right then and there. And don't be afraid of sounding like an idiot or whatever. Just scream, fight, do whatever you can to get away.
Hmm. Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
powerful. And the fact that it's saved, like several people later, kind of testified to
Hmm.
the fact that these, having watched this and listened to this advice, essentially saved their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, because they would just flash back to that show and they're like, oh, wait, I'm in this situation. And then they work themselves out of it. And there's another celebrity, Gabrielle Union. She had actually gone through a horrific, like 3 hour ordeal.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and she was talking about it. And when she was 19, she's working at a store, I think convenience store, with her coworker, and they were closing up, and a man walked in, and her instincts, as soon as she saw him, she wanted to run. She wanted to run out of that store right away. They had already dropped their cash and all that. So then she ignored it. She just went into the back and finished up cleaning up, and then she heard her name yelled from the front, and it was her coworker. And as soon as she heard that, she's like, "Oh no!" She knew what it was, and then they got led through this ordeal, and she complied and she did whatever he asked her to do, and then she got assaulted, and then he asked, give me my gun, like, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is it, I'm gonna die. So she grabbed the
Mm.
gun, didn't know how to shoot a gun, popped the clip, started shooting. Of course she didn't get him, but then he ended up just punching her, trying to get away the gun, and then when he got the gun he actually just left. But she fought in that moment, and yeah, just horrific. If she had listened to her voice, and we're in work situations, it's like, how do we leave our work situations? Um, but her instincts told her to run and get out of there. So what do you do in a work situation when you're supposed to be there and you're responsible for closing up the shop, or you're responsible for, the event you're attending or whatnot? You just have to leave. You just have to leave and explain to your bosses later, I just didn't feel safe in this situation,
Right. So
right?
listen, actually, something I just flashed back to a
Mm-hmm.
really horrible, horrible event that happened in my work about 10 years ago. And I used to always say to my, because I was in financial services, I would always say to my female reps that if you're going to a situation, don't go to a situation where there's only the man that's at home. Try to set the appointment with, the parents, the couple, because we were offering programs for parents who had small children. There was always a couple. And if that wasn't the case, try to arrange a meeting outside. So in this particular case, I'm not sure what happened, and we'll never know, but this wasn't one of my sales reps. It happened in Ottawa. Um, she went on an early morning appointment on a Sunday morning and never returned, and she just went missing. And this is really quite something. And
Mm-hmm.
essentially, the father uh, raped her, assaulted her, beat her to a pulp, and then disposed of her body in a sand pit. And it was just horrific. I think about it, and it was just, I went to the funeral. It was horrible. She was a beautiful lady. And I don't know, right? We'll never know if her instincts told her there was something wrong. Was there any opportunity she could have had when she realized that the wife wasn't there to have left, right? They were eventually able to track it back to him because her husband knew where her appointment was, right? And he had kind of deflected things, and then things start because the neighbors then came forward when the murder was revealed, saying they heard the screams, but they heard screams coming from that house all the time, as because he was a wife beater, right? He used to beat his wife, and they thought, and nobody did, and nobody did anything, right?
It's so scary.
So, right? So
That's so,
nobody wants to be, to have, to, obviously, to end up in that kind of a situation. But, he just smart advice, or as a potential commission for a job is not worth it either. If real estate agents, Nancy, that was your
yes.
business for a lot of
Yes. And
years,
that's what
right?
Sandy was saying as well here. She said, yes, certain professions, 'cause she's in real estate, are
Mm-hmm.
really dangerous because you are meeting with strangers. And we are doing that. And we're public. Our numbers out there. People contact us, open houses. We're alone. We have to show properties ourselves. I think that's why it's really important to let somebody know where you're going to be and have an out. And I think, agents really, yeah, they really need an out, and they need someone to be accountable, to where they're going, so they don't get into those situations. And I just had a situation where, I'm taking photos out here. I'm trying to get into the lifestyle print commercial industry. And there's a person I talk with on a Facebook community that's Tear for Photos, or Trade for Photos. And he's like, oh, well, he was, 7:30 in the evening. I'm like, well, can't we do it during the day? He's like, and then I saw it was studio photos or something like that. I'm like, well, I'm not coming to your house. I'll meet you in public. But even as I'm saying that, I'm like, I'll meet you somewhere in public during the day. Yeah, and maybe the sun might not be the best location for photos. But there was a part of me that was like, oh, I'm not being cool, or feeling bad that I wasn't being trusting of him to go to his house. Well, I don't
Right.
know. But that was in it, like, oh, I don't want to be not cool. I don't want to be,
Mm.
but that I overrode that, and like, no, this is safety. This is my safety. But still, part of me was like, oh, I'm not being really nice. So Sandy says, I have to listen to my instincts a lot with work. Luckily, only been in a situation once, which turned out safely. But yes, let me open it. Seymour, come on, Seymour. I just gotta love these. Sandy, I'm trying to get the rest of your comment. Okay, I can't get the rest of your comment out. But she's saying that she's been in this situation. Luckily, it didn't turn out bad. And I've been in, oh, there it is. Facebook. Luckily, only been in a situation once, which turned out safely. But yes, it can be scary. Yeah, it can be scary. And I think I just flashed back to another time I had an open house with someone else. And there was somebody that came in once. He was just like really squirrely, and we were just not comfortable. I think he might have come back in one more time, and we closed up the open house early. We're like, I don't, you know, I think we texted the listing agent, just let her know we're not comfortable. This person is making us uncomfortable. And we closed up and we left early. It was just not
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. And Astrid says, boundaries, you did the right thing, Tina. And I did too by not going there. And Stacy says, I always follow safety over looking uncool. You have to protect yourself. You absolutely do. And
Yeah.
Sandy says, LOL, you are so cute. Yeah. Facebook. Tried to come on 3 times, or no, third time was a charm. I tried to come on twice and then got kicked off for whatever reason. So
That is one of your great qualities, my friend, is your persistence.
I am persistent. I'm like, let me try one more time. I'll get it.
Okay, so I think we've
Okay.
come to the end of
Yeah.
our time, right? And I hope, just we all know that we have to be aware and alert for any dangers around us. But as it pertains to your body's wisdom and the signs that you're getting from your body, just give that a lot of credence and honor, right? And if you honor those feelings and really take a step back and listen to them when you're potentially in danger, it could save your life. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe you won't have proof of it at that time if you step away from a potentially dangerous situation like you did with your open house, Nancy. But you really can't go wrong,
Mm-mm.
right? And if you're safe and nothing tragic has happened to you until this point, is maybe a lot to do with the fact that you have followed your instincts,
Yes, yes. And I
right?
have not follow my instincts and, let people, carry the groceries in or carry something up for me and, not having a good feeling and then just being relieved that they're gone. So I think I've been protected in that regards, but this really woke me up again to not be this nice person and to really listen to it. I always talk about, dropping into your body's energy as far as, your feminine essence and all that. You can use it in dating as well, because there's so many times like your energy, you'll be
Yes.
on a date and you feel drained or you're just not connecting for whatever reason. And, I think recently I left a date and I just felt really closed off, even though the guy was really a nice person. I felt really closed off. I just couldn't wait to go home. And, we feel like a lot of times we're being too harsh or we're not being open enough. But a lot of times, just a simple date, you're not feeling comfortable. There's something that's off. It doesn't mean that they're like, serial killers, or maybe it's just something that's not in alignment with who you are and your fundamental values. But sometimes it can be something much worse. So,
Yeah.
always, always, always listen. And I'm just going to read a few more comments before we wrap this up. And I think this would be a really good, great topic to come back to another time.
Yes.
And Sandy says, I always plan an exit route with open houses. Be aware of how to get away. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely important. Absolutely. Yes. When you go into the open house and set up, always look for, unlock the back door or see where your exits are for sure. Set up downstairs near multiple exits. And then Tony says, if you don't feel good about something, out of get out or don't go. As a realtor, it's definitely dangerous. And Sandy says, love you. Astrid says, hello, Mr. Clooney. George Clooney? Who's Mr. Clooney? Are you talking about Tony Rodriguez?
Well, he's a handsome dude.
Yeah, he is a handsome dude. He's got some really great nuggets of wisdom that he passes on. And Stacy Thompson says, I tell my daughter to listen to her gut. And she has told me many times how it helps her. Oh, that's such a beautiful thing to teach your kids. And we really need to teach our
Yes.
children this. And Tony Rodriguez says, best thing to do, the open house with another agent. Absolutely. Great. I agree. We've
Okay.
done that before. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in and
Yeah.
everybody that commented and everyone that's behind the scenes. And it's just really important, today, maybe practice it and tap into it. Like, how is your body feeling in this situation? How is my body feeling about what I'm thinking about? How is my body feeling around these people? And, just put it into practice. And Tina, how would you like to wrap this up? I think you did, but any
Yeah.
last
That,
words?
that's a beautiful sentiment. And I believe that things come to us at times for a reason, right? And
Mm,
the fact that this podcast came to you, Nancy, is so nicely ties in with everything. And maybe it's a message for somebody that's tuning in that could really make a big difference in their lives. So
mm-hmm.
thankfully, you listened to your intuition and you picked up on that podcast and we
Yes.
chatted about it. And we'll continue to do that,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And we're going to be coming on again later this week with Michelle on Thursday. So stay tuned for that one
Yeah.
around 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then again on Friday. And on Friday, Heidi is going to be coming on with us, Heidi Fossali, talking about self-care from her own unique perspective. She's a really dynamic lady. We had a
Yes.
conversation this morning. That's going to be
Oh,
so much
great.
fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Good.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. She lives at Monte Carlo, right?
Yeah, yeah. She'll be coming
Fabulous
to us
lady.
from London then. Yeah.
Oh, okay. She's in London. Okay, great. Okay, lovely. Thank you, lovely Facebook crew, family, love you
Yes.
all so much. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Tony says you guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you. You're fantastic too.
You're fantastic too. All right.
Okay,
Love to
guys.
all. Bye. Happy
Bye,
Monday.
guys.
Bye, guys.